I want to jump right into it. And we are talking about why it takes so long to reprogram the subconscious, rewire the brain for success. If you have missed any of this week, we went live Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and now today. If you've missed any of this week between rock, oh, okay, I do know where that is. Yes, I do. Okay. If you've missed any I know the general vicinity. Let me say that. If you've missed any of this week, the recordings are posted in the Substack. It should have come out to you as an email. That's how it should have come. But you never know with technology. But you can go onto, I think it says post, and you can find those. So we are going to jump right in today. So yeah, it takes a long time to reprogram. And the interesting thing is it's a ton of reasons why today's the one day I don't have notes, but that's okay. Um, it's a ton of reasons why, but I almost like to think of it like a little gatekeeping ability because people tend to not want to spend time and consistency on anything. And I feel like if something is really important to you, you will spend your time, your money, your energy, and everything you have in order to really get the result you want. Now, that's not the real reason, but that's why I'm glad it takes effort. Reprogramming the subconscious is simple, but it's not easy. And it's not easy necessarily because the techniques are hard, because the techniques are not. It's not easy because people tend to not have the wherewithal, the stick-to-itiveness in order to do it. They don't want it bad enough to make this a consistent part of your life. And the reality is, if we are talking about reprogramming, and not manifesting, reprogramming, and then you get everything you want in the process. If we're talking about reprogramming, you have to be a person that recognizes this is something you are putting on this new version of you for life. This is your process for life. This is how you are going to move through life from now until death. So here's the reason it's so hard. And I even think or it takes so long. Let's say that. This is the reason that it takes so long. You don't program the subconscious quickly. The subconscious is programmed over time and consistency of seeing the same thing. Remember, 7 months gestation to 7 years old. So we have that. And then also the reality is, and I'm going to say this, but I don't want to give people the idea that it can happen fast, but it can. And under one scenario, can you reprogram the subconscious completely fast? And just out of curiosity, there's only 8 of us online, so I don't know how much feedback I'm going to be able to get today. But just out of curiosity, anybody want to guess what the one way to reprogram fast is and have it like lock in? And when I say fast, I mean 3 months. But you still have to continue it for life, but actually get that reprogram. Anybody want to take a guess on what that could possibly be? A guess on what it could possibly be that would make a reprogram happen fast. Oh, yeah. Shabbat Shalom, guys. It's Friday and Halloween. No idea. Okay, at least we got an answer. No idea. All right. Let's see if anybody else is going to pop in. Guys, the only reason reprogram doesn't happen quickly is because you can't go the amount of time necessary keeping the positive thoughts and the focus that you need. If over the course of 1 to 3 months, 80, not even 100, 80% of your actions, your thoughts, your words, you're doing the steps, you're doing everything. Like if you, for 3 months, if 80%, you would see a drastic change. And it would almost be, and even not 100% then. But the goal, and I mentioned this the other day, is for you to have more thoughts that align with the version of you that you are stepping into than thoughts of where you currently are, than thoughts of what the physical, tangible 3D is. And people struggle with that. So it said that if you can go 3 days, and 3 days is not a long time. If you can go 3 days with laser focus, not betraying yourself, and betraying yourself looks like thinking and operating in the version you don't want to live in and move in. If you can go 3 days without betraying yourself, living a certain way, speaking a certain way, watching the certain things, doing this, and you never, not once cheat, in 3 days you can have the things that you want. I don't know any. I struggle with that, like not once. And when you do, the 3 days start over. But technically, anywhere from 1 month to 3 months, if about 80% of your time is spent in the version of you that you desire to be. And I have to say, this was how I started seeing change. Um, this was actually, I moved back home with my mother, and my kid was in a toddler bed at the foot. And you guys know my son will be 19 in 2 weeks. So that tells you, okay, I can't believe I got a 19-year-old. Oh my goodness. Anyway, he will be 19 in 2 weeks. He's off at university. But he was in the toddler bed at the time. And I'm back at home, and we're in this small bedroom. And my spiritual mother at the time is the one who first told me about the 4 agreements and the game of life and how to play it. And she said, the game of life and how to play it. Angie, I do. And I was not a kid either. I was in my 20s. I do. You're so sweet. You are so sweet. He's 6'5" and look down on my head. Um, but I was in my 20s, and was it 20s, 27, 20? Yeah, I was in my 20s and had just gotten home and moved back home. And my spiritual mother said to me, those are the 2 books that she think everybody should read, and she wished it was given in school. And you may have heard me tell this before, but at the time, I was not able to go get the actual tangible book. So I found a code online at the time to get 2 free Audible books, which is funny because Audible just sent me a message yesterday like, oh, you're going to lose 2 credits. I've kept Audible all these years. I have hundreds of books on Audible, and I literally you start losing credits, I think, after like 22 credits. So I'm losing credits. That tells you, right? I'm not going to lose them though. I'm going to go use them. But at the time, that was the beginning of my Audible journey. And I looked up a code to at least get 1 free book, and I found one to give me 2 free books. And I got those 2 books. And I didn't know anything about reprogramming at that time. I don't think I even had heard the term mindset in the way that it later began to be used. And I listened to both books. And of course, you know this, The Game of Life and How to Play It is the one that like resonated with me the most. It's the one that really called me in. And something about it just clicked with my soul. It just clicked with my soul. And I was like, I hear truth, right? And again, I didn't know about mindset and I didn't know about reprogramming, but I knew that I trusted the woman who told me and her guidance. And so I took earbuds, and literally every waking moment, if I was not, handling business where I had to talk to someone, I had earbuds in and I was listening to this book. And I've told you guys many times, one of the techniques that I would use, again, this was before I knew. And it's interesting how God will like give you knowledge and give you wisdom. And you might not know why you're doing something, or you might not know why you're doing things the way that you're doing it. And later, when you go and after I went back to school and I got the expertise, I realized like I was reprogramming without knowing that's what I was doing, just intuitively following my nudges, following what God led me to do. And so I put these earbuds in, and just intuitively I knew like, you got to listen to this as much as possible. You got to just keep listening, keep listening. And I think the book's only like 2 hours and some change. And I listened on repeat for at least 3 months. That first month was real serious. Like it was constant. My son knew the words. By the time he got to kindergarten, my son could recite parts of the book. The audio book would be playing so much because I did this for years. But I went from, in my business, doing that, I went from, I don't know, maybe a few hundred to 1,000. And I don't know why we had hit this point and I wasn't really making any money, but so it was still fresh. To within about 6 weeks, I was at 4,000. And by the time a month, and by the time my 3-month period hit, I think that was the first month I ever made $8,000. Now, that might not seem like a ton today. I still think 8,000 a month is good, right? A lot of people, they be in their world. If you're making 8,000 a month in your business, that is a blessing to go from like you just had to move out because you had no money to 3 months later you have 8,000, and it continued to steadily go up. Actually, as a matter of fact, I hit 8,000 and I hit 12 and then I hit 32. Like that's how it continued to go up after that, okay? The only thing I changed, the only thing I did in the 3 months was I literally poured every moment that I wasn't working in and on my business doing something. I poured every moment into listening to the audio. I poured every single moment into like getting it in my spirit. I would say the affirmations as I'm going to sleep. And when I woke up, again, I didn't know that I was intuitively being led to do things when my brain was in a theta wave pattern. I didn't know. That was just me following my intuitive nudges from God. And that always matters. The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shand. And that was my intro into the world of co-creation. That was my intro into the world of mindset work. That was my intro into the world of reprogramming. But I didn't know what it was until many years later. And so from there, it jump started other things because now I'm making more money and I can make investments in my business and I can do these things. But I had the sense to know that if feeding myself this, and it's like I knew to cut everything else off. I knew reality TV was a no. That was one of the first times that I started limiting the people I was talking to. I really didn't talk to anybody. Before then, I had friends that I talked to every single day. And I'm having an epiphany while I'm saying this. I'm going to tell you in a minute. But it was friends that I talked to every single day. And I quit talking to them because the time I'm talking to you, I need to be listening to this audio. And when I'm not listening to this audio, then I need to be doing whatever I feel inspired to do in my business. And at the time, live streams, actually, I don't think live streams were out at all on Facebook. No, we would just record videos and post them. And then I had another YouTube channel. And I would just post on those two places. Hello, hello. I would just post in those two places. I would listen to the audio. I would get inspired by something and I would post. And I literally just made that be what my routine was. I go cook dinner for my little kid, do little stuff with him. But even when the headphones went in, it was on speaker all the time. I would fall asleep listening to it. 3 months, my life changed. And it wasn't about the book. It wasn't about the book. Because sometimes I say that and people think it's the book, and the book's amazing. I love the book. Like, y'all know how I feel about the book. We read the book inside of this community in August. Love the book. Still go to it. But it actually wasn't the book. It was because the book is the vibrational frequency of next level of embodying that next version of yourself. And it wasn't just that I read the book. Because I had those earbuds in, I didn't have time for the thoughts of like, look at you in your 20s back at home with your mom. Look at you, those sorts I didn't have time for the negative thoughts, the thoughts of being unworthy. Even if they were playing in the subconscious, they didn't have a chance to come forward. Remember how I mentioned yesterday or day before when I was saying, going back to the saying, idle mind is the devil workshop. when your mind is idle, all those thoughts can pop up. And so this was not a conscious thing. I didn't know I was reprogramming. I just knew that every moment, like every time I took the earbuds out. Now I'm at home where I didn't want to be. Um, I love my mom. I really love my mom. We cannot live together. We cannot live together. She know it, I know it. Can't live together. So it wasn't the best place for me to be. And so my circumstances made it so I don't argue with anybody. So there's not any issues. So that nobody says anything to hurt my feelings. If I mistakenly say something to hurt somebody else's feelings, I'm put these headphones in. I don't have to hear nothing nobody say. I don't have to like be involved in my surroundings outside of my kid in my room. I don't have to do that. That was how I got there. But sometimes, how many of you know it don't matter how you get there sometimes, as long as you got there? That's how I got there. But by default, and this is when you have to say, sometimes you don't know why you end up in a situation you're in. But I needed that to push me to a space where I am literally every waking moment feeding myself with the knowledge, the motivation and inspiration necessary to change and to do. So again, it wasn't the book. It was because my mind was being utilized. It was being used. And it didn't have time to be idle and for any thoughts that negated what it was I was calling in my life to happen. So within a month, quick, I saw change. Within 3 months, that was a drastic change. Again, not the book. Because honestly, I could have done that with the Four Agreements. I could have done that with the Science of Getting Rich. I could have done, you can do it with the Bible. You can do it with anything that's feeding you something that is on a vibrational frequency of a higher vibrational frequency. Okay. And we'll talk about this within the community one day about vibrational frequency. But that's really what it's about. So what happens for most people, the reason it takes so long to reprogram is because the reality, most people are only spending 10, 15, maybe 10% of their day in a space where they're consciously doing this work. So I'm consciously doing the work when I'm going to sleep. I'm consciously doing the work when I wake up. Like that's maybe what people would do. And that's only if they've been introduced more so to manifesting. They may play subliminals while they're asleep. But the reality is, any other moment that negative thoughts have to come up, and they do, it's almost like taking one step forward and two steps back. And so it just takes longer to get there. It just takes longer. And that's legitimately what's happening for most people. That's why it takes so long. I told you guys I could get to the point real quick today. And most people are unable, their situations make it hard to do that. If you are working for someone else, you have to be on calls. You can't sit with these audio. Living makes it difficult. I just happen to be at a hard time emotionally in life, and I didn't have a job, and it's me and a kid, and I have the time and freedom to do it. I remember looking for a job, couldn't find, it was a whole thing. Couldn't find one. This is what I've spent my time doing. So the reality is you can completely shift your life in 3 months. In a month, you can see a huge difference. I have private clients who will come in, they'll literally say, I will spend the next month, and every waking moment, I will feel myself with some of this. Those people see within a couple weeks, they start seeing changes. Now, that's not a complete reprogram, but what happens is I'm looking around like I can find something with examples. Like imagine a floating world and a floating ball, and it's pretty much just floating and staying stagnant, but it's floating. It's here, it's floating, it's maintaining its float. And the way it floats and the angles in which it floats is dictated upon your frequency. What moves the ball with different pieces in the ball is you. So your ball has been maintaining. And by the way, I'm coming up with this while I'm saying it. Okay, this analogy. But because that's what I'm seeing in my head. The ball's here, and you've been maintaining the same frequency, and it just stays the same, and you're maintaining it. The ball's being maintained. But then you start doing the work, and it's pretty consistent, and you keep going, and all of a sudden, quickly, the ball starts rearranging. The pieces that's put together like a puzzle that makes it look like a ball, they're now rearranging. And so in a week, it's not where you want to be. In 2 weeks, not even in a month or three, but it's rearranged enough that you can start seeing drastic differences. So in a week, you may start noticing if you're at work, new opportunities start showing up within a couple weeks, promotions, a week or two, clients start showing up when you are dedicated to doing the work. This is how I've had clients who elevate financially so quick because they will literally carve out this time like this is what we're doing. And after that month, you have to go back to, you got to do regular life sometimes, right? But still carving out a lot of time doing your day, every moment you can, putting on me, putting on some of my content, putting on affirmations, putting on other just again things to occupy your mind. Remember I was talking about tools. Some of these tools are good for that, for occupying your mind, going into visualization, using your imagination. But every time you start shifting your frequency moves the ball that's comprised of different things. All right, it moves the ball, and it comes a point that it's kind of like um how the earth rotates, but it's slow. Like you can't, like we're not, whoa, like it's slow. We can't feel it. It's kind of like that. The ball's moving. But now imagine if it was how we talked about you start, then you have negative thoughts and you fall back. So the balls are moving, the pieces of the balls are moving, it's still being maintained, but you do work and it starts moving. But then you start having those thoughts again and it click back into place where it was because you're back to the frequency. And that's why the goal is to, even if you can't go extend, I went all in because people use desperation in different ways. For me, I was so desperate to get out of my mama's house. My mom was getting on my nerves so bad. I knew to save our relationship. But also like it it didn't feel normal for me to be in the financial situation that I was in. It didn't feel normal. I knew it was like, how did I get here? And I got to get out of here and I got to get out of here quick. So I was willing to be drastic. I was willing to do things that most people are not willing to do, like spend every waking hour, listen to an audiobook. Come on now. Every waking hour? Cut off conversations with everybody unless I had to say it. Most people are not willing to. I quit talking to the little guy I was talking to. Like, I will cut, I was just in that moment where I had to change. Life had to change. And if you weren't talking to me about money, I don't want to talk to you. And about money in a positive way. Most people aren't there. So when you can put that amount of dedicated focus, then those pieces of the ball that's being maintained, just floating, now they're all shifting. They're all shifting and reordering. And they're reordering into this version of you that you're seeing for yourself, that you're feeling for yourself, that you're imagining, that you're speaking into existence because the vast majority of your mental thought. It's a lot of mental work. The vast majority of that is on a high frequency subject. Tell me if that makes sense to you guys. Funny you're talking about this. I literally just had a negative thought creep me in randomly. I picked up my Bible to read a little bit and saw you were live. Yes. It's another reason, again, I didn't know repetition at the time. Repetition over time will shift your programming, even outside of theta wave, because it's seeing the same thing over time. And that's not 3 months. That's not like that's a long time, but it's over time. I didn't know that when I felt led to re-listen. It's just that out of the two books, that was the one that I resonated with the most. And I didn't have I didn't have any other self-help books. Like literally, when I say that was my introduction, that was my introduction. And I sometimes feel that when you're at a point that it's like, I don't know what else to do, and this is all I have, so I'm going to lean into this. Sometimes that's a blessing. It's a blessing, and it was absolutely my blessing. Absolutely. You guys have any questions about that? And let me know if you understand the analogy I gave, please. It's 19 of you now, so somebody should be able to answer. Let me know if you guys are following. Dum 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 dum. Dum 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 dum. I know you just joined. At least you talking to me though. At least you're talking. So I guess the other 18 people, I'm gonna assume they're just here and not really listening and paying attention. I'm gonna hope that you got it. I'm gonna pray that you understand that example. Oh, thank you. Thank you for that. Yes, it makes sense. Perfect. Because it's like if we're going to do these lives, if we're going to be here, this is a perfect opportunity to be able to get that feedback just to make sure it's locking in and it's clicking for you. When else can you get that benefit of talking? So I love when you guys. Oh, perfect. After you've been on the phone with them for so long. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Um oh, I'm at work on my buzz. Okay, got you. Got you. All right. I understand. Um, so that's one of the reasons I tell you guys with repetition, listen to my audios more than once. Read, right? It's not fraud, bank. This is not fraud. Let this payment go through. This is the one of the reasons I'm always like, watch my YouTube videos more than once, watch my trainings more than once, go through the workshops more than once, read the articles more than once. Number one, you're going to get something like in the repetition. I always got something different. Something different stood out to me. Every time I listen to The Game of Life and How to Play It Now, or any of the books that I love, I get something different. And it's like, girl, you've been listening to this for years. You have listened at least 1,000 times. You mean to tell me you didn't, or you heard it or I hear it a different way, you know? Um, you will listen to one of my trainings a second and a third time, and you will hear something in a way that you didn't hear it before. And then if you wait some time, go through other trainings, then go back, all of a sudden you'll have a deeper understanding for something I've said to you. I have had clients. No, let me scratch that clients, but people who have been in like friends that I've had. I only really have two friends that's ever come through my program. I typically don't let friends come through my program. If I know you in real life, like no, because people be wanting special treatment and all those things. And the answer is no. Okay. No. But I have one friend who had been around me for a whole bunch of years. She had been in several of my programs. And maybe a year ago, she said to me, "Oh my God, Stephanie, I'm getting it. So you're saying blah, 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 blah." And I stopped and I was like, "What?" And she repeated, I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But girl, I've been saying that to you for years." She was like, "I know, but I'm just getting it." And I'm like, "You're just getting it." I've been saying it for years. I'm like, and for years I said, "Do you understand? Do you understand?" And you would be one of those people who said, "Mm-hmm, mm-hmm." So now, 5 years later, girl, what? This is why I tell you guys repetition. Because it doesn't have to take you that long. You could just go through stuff multiple times. It'll start clicking more and make sure you're doing the work outside of me when you're not listening to me. Make sure you're doing the audios. It's part of the reason when I think about this community, when I think about the Still Well, one of the things I love specifically even about these challenges that I leave up is that even in months that we're not doing challenges, that's an opportunity for you to go back through the challenge. And every time you go through the challenge, you'll see something different, hear something different, do something different every single time. So it's important. And I feel like this is a really great library of information. You don't have a reason to ever have your brain, your mind idle in here. And then I'm constantly creating new content and work and always speaking life into you and always speaking to the possibility and talking about the science and talking about God and talking about all those things that feed into you being the next version of you. There is no reason in this community for you not to lock in on repetition because you got new content and then you can start repeating it. I think already we have several hours of content in here already. And if you're in the School of Quantum Living on top of that, you really don't have any excuse because I know we have 100 and some change, like at least 100 hours of content over there. Have you ever listened to Bob? He actually used to be a mentor of mine before he passed. Absolutely. Yes. And I love that. I'm always, how late am I? About 40 minutes. We're going to be getting off in a minute, but that's okay. The recording, it'll populate. And because it's not as long as some of my other videos, hopefully it'll populate a little bit quicker. Hopefully. But repetition and just feeding it to yourself over and over, again, it serves two purposes. Not just the reprogramming over time that will by default happen, but also not allowing your mind to get idle. I'm late, but I'm here. Hey, Katrina. Not allowing your mind to get idle and not allowing those thoughts and doubts and worries and fears to creep up because your brain is never in a state of contemplation. I tell people all the time, I'm a thinker. I don't know how many of you are thinkers, right? Like, I'm a real thinker. I don't have moments that I'm not thinking unless I'm doing some sort of meditation or I'm taking something in. So if I'm listening to an audio, a book, a training, I guess I'm thinking about what they're saying. Like, I'm in an active process of listening and being a part here. I'm not just having these other thoughts. But if I am in a situation and I'm not doing any of that, I will think about the most random. Like, I really am the ADHDer who will be like, well, who decided that needed to be like that? Like, how did we get, and it'll just be random. My brain will go random. Now, most of the time it's helpful for me because it's just, I'm curious and I like to learn new stuff. But in a time when we're trying to shift who we are and co-create and all those things, you don't even want to take that chance. In a time when life is giving you contrast, no, no. Occupy every moment. Be busy listening. Be busy. At least for me, because I'm a think. Remember I said the other day, did I say it on here? Or was it a video? I don't know, but I know I said it. Um, like my kid. If you did something, you better tell me because if I have to make it up in my head, you in trouble. Because what I make up is what I mean. But you have to know this is where know thyself really comes in. And how do you alleviate that? And how can you avoid a lot of those scenarios? We think and imagine a lot of things into existence. Actually, we think and imagine most things into existence. So that means that you have to be a person that really intentionally curates what you're consciously focused on. You can't curate what you're unconsciously or subconsciously focused on because that's your belief system. But in the conscious, you can choose what you're listening to, how you're moving. That's why again, I say this all the time. These sort of communities are so important. You want to be somewhere where there's somewhere to go, where there are other people. You can start conversations, you can hop in the chat. You want to be somewhere like that. You got to make us your best friend. Like for real. You got to make listen to this content, listen to certain authors, going to the YouTube. Like, you got to make this be when people talk about this whole like they're making themselves a curriculum. I find it funny. You may have heard me say this a few times. It's kind of funny because I'm like, so y'all just now in 2025 creating learning opportunities for yourself because what you've been doing outside what personal curriculums, that's what they call them. What have you been doing? Because the way my brain works, I'm always in a personal curriculum. But you have to decide that self-help in this work is a yes, I found my people. Yes, yes. You have to decide like this is what you're going to be focused on and you're always in learning mode and always in receptive mode and just being in it and being able to move out of the I know that already space. I can't stand an I know that already person because I'm always like, well, if you know that already, why you not rich? You're not rich. You're experiencing a whole bunch of contrast. Things aren't popping off like you want, but you know it already. So what good is that knowledge doing you? You might know it on a conscious level, but you don't know it. It isn't clocked in. And standing when people say that, I be like, don't say that, Stephanie. Because my mouth really will say, but you're not rich. Like that then becomes funny. How much in your Vanguard? Do you know it? Do you? Right. And it's not me being ugly, but we have to come out of a space of I already know. And it goes back even to the repetition. Like I said, I've listened to The Game of Life and How to Play it at least 1,000 times, but I'll listen to it again. Do you think I don't know what the words are? I can recite so many of the words, and yet I still listen to it and I'll say, I never thought about that in that way. That never landed to me with me in that way. You don't know. I said that to my friend, and boy, he get mad. I'm sure people don't want to hear the truth. I will say things to myself like, girl, you don't know nothing. Read it. Do it again. You know nothing. You know how many times it's been passages in the Bible, and as I grow and I read it, I'm like, how did I read this way the first time? Just say it. Because growth, maturity, and life experience, repetition, it works, okay? Um, all right, guys, this is the 31st. Happy Halloween. I'ma go because I gotta call somebody because I think I heard someone walking in the attic. Don't nobody look like on top of me. It's the attic. And it's getting cool. And I'm like, why someone walking in the attic? And I'm positive I heard it this morning. It woke me up. And I messaged one of my homegirls, and she said, because something like this happened with her mom. She was like, girl, a squirrel or something. I had to get up there. And I was like, my God, because I will burn this whole house down. I will burn the whole house down because I know I ain't just hitting it. And then she said, Happy Halloween. And I was like, not me hearing stuff moving upstairs on Halloween. I love Halloween, by the way. I'm hearing stuff move upstairs on Halloween. Absolutely not. We're not going to play those games. So I don't know who I'm supposed to be calling. I don't know where I'm supposed to be calling. But we gonna find somebody that's not scared to open a little thing and pull the letter. And I need to change my air conditioner filter. My son usually does it. But baby, it won't. No filter will be getting changed around here as long as I hear someone walking on top of me and don't nobody live. Okay, Ghostbusters, right? And I was kind of mad with her when I told her. She said, "Happy Halloween." I was, girl, don't play with me. Do not play with me, and you know I'm scared. Okay, so I got to call somebody because you don't live here rent free. You don't get in my attic rent free. This is not a subsidized. I don't subsidize people living in the attic. I don't subsidize no raccoon. What else could get up there? Raccoon, squirrel. And again, I'm too scared to go up there and see what I heard walking. And what was funny is I think whatever it was heard me on the phone because why I stopped. And I was like, oh no, oh no, oh no. And she said, Happy Halloween. A bet. My God. See, I can't play with y'all. I can't play with y'all. No. I say, okay, so now that Georgia's getting a little chilly, this is what we go do. And I've been here 7 years. This what we doing? Seven. And I know I was like, 7 years. Why would I hear somebody walking in the attic? Me and the cat. And she not in the attic. And I can't even send her up there because she's scary. You said at least it's respectful. Whatever it is, but we go find, baby, you got to go from there. And then I start saying, well, if it got in the attic, can it get in the house? Whew. I'm saying, yeah, right now. If you see, I think about Angela Bassett in that scene of her burning the car up and she walking away from the car. That ain't me in the house. Just burn it all down. Just burn it all down. Okay. So yeah, we'll get that taken care of. If you have not joined in for the challenge, the reprogramming challenge that starts tomorrow. Tomorrow's the first. Join in. 1 year, I think it is about $379 to join as a partner for the year. You get access not only to that 30-day challenge, but all the content we have here and any other challenges, workshops, just whatever I do is happening in here. And nowhere can you get access to this level of training from a neurometaphysics. It's like it just won't happen. And so I think it's $379 for the year, or you can pay monthly. It's up to you. Cancel anytime, no questions asked. You just log into your account and do it. Now I don't know why you would do that. And then just a side note, I go up on price regularly. So if you leave and come back, don't call me and be like, but I paid this. And I was like, yeah, that was then. And I told y'all the only thing remained the same as God. Okay. Just join on the website and not iOS. Somebody else was saying that yesterday. I noticed that when I was trying to join something on Patreon, and it was like, this is supposed to be $6. What happened? Why are we at 12? What happened? And turned out it was the Apple fees. And I politely got on my laptop and did it from my laptop. So yeah, that's what I suggest because I don't get whatever the extra is. I don't get it. It literally goes to Apple. Okay. And then also, for those who don't know, we have the Made Manifest Conference that's in January. You've been hearing me talk about it every day. It's the 18th and the 19th here in Atlanta. It's a Sunday and a Monday. That Monday is Martin Luther King Day, so most people are off anyway. And if you want to take this work and bring it into an in-person, powerful, intimate experience, you want to be in the house, okay? So anyway, I'm really excited. I'm going to hush now so I can go and go Google and ask who to call. Ghostbusters. Now, Tanisha, you got me. My goodness. I'm going to Google and find out who you call. And I will be sending out the welcome information to get you guys started for tomorrow later today. Bye, guys.